What's up everybody, my name is Zach and today I'm going to tell you why I think the A6600 is better than the A7 III currently. So I previously had an A6500, which is the previous flagship A-series camera for crop sensor, and I loved it. That's one of my favorite cameras I've ever owned. I loved how small it is and how versatile it is. It can take pretty good photos and video. The video features on the camera are just outstanding compared to anything else in its class, I guess you would say. It does better video than my A7S II, other than low light performance. Obviously, that's why this camera shines the way it does. You get all that for a cheap price and in a really portable body, and you can't find that with anything else. Now, the A7 III is an excellent camera. It does, the same video features and functions as this camera does, but with a full frame. So that's kind of where you get the advantage from having, let's say, the A6500 versus the A7 III, or now the 6600 versus it. So just to give you a little idea, this thing costs about $1,400 to $1,500, I believe, and I found it on sale for $1,100 when I picked it up, and that was the case for my A6500 back when I bought it. So they're both on sale a lot, and you can get them for cheaper than the advertised price. And now the A7 III was about $2,000 new, and you can find it a lot of the times for like $1,799, and I've seen it as low as like $1,600 before, but it typically don't go any lower than $1,600. So a big price difference in the two, $500 roughly, depending on the sales. But you get a whole lot out of this little camera, and it's just insane. And I chose to go with this instead of the A7 III mainly because of the screen. The A7 III still has the same screen as my A7S II. Even though it has some features that help the camera be a little bit more easier to use, I still don't like that it don't have any kind of screen where you can help yourself frame or see anything from any other angles. And this camera makes up for that, I believe. So as you see on the front right here, it's got a flip up screen. So let's open this thing up. This camera that I bought actually came with a memory card, 64 gigs, and an internet extra one, so this actually worked out really good, and no extra charge. And I got some Sony user manuals and probably a brochure of like lenses and stuff. Right there it is. It's a bunch of factory Sony gear that comes in these. I'll open this up. Got your camera strap, charge cable, got the little rubber eye cup that comes off the camera and you have to slide it on. Got the power brick charger. So this is what your USB plugs into to charge the camera. Now this is probably the most exciting piece from the whole camera, is the new Z-type battery. This is the same battery that the A7S III takes. So this is what made me buy this camera basically. And last but certainly not least is the camera body. Get this box out of the way. And here is the camera body. So this body, to accommodate the big battery that comes with it, the grip is deeper on the side, and it completely feels like a new camera compared to the 6500. This grip I can actually get my whole hand around, and it's so much better, and it feels like the texture is different. So to get this big battery in the camera, obviously in the side like that right there, they had to make the grip deeper. So very cool. Now this camera also has the flip up screen that apparently I can't get right. So it can be all the way in. You could tilt up and down like you did before, but you can also bring this out and up, and then you can flip your screen all the way up like that and be able to see in front of yourself. So that is very cool. I can't get over how much better this grip feels. It's a lot better than a 6500. You felt cramped up all the time, and it was really uncomfortable to hold. I put the battery in, and it adds a little bit more weight to it, and I really like how it feels. I really do. So a couple of reasons I think you should go with the A6500 over the A7 III. The first thing right off the bat, price. You can get this camera a lot cheaper than you can a full frame equivalent like the A7 III, A7S II. You can get excellent, great quality out of this, especially for video, man. This thing is a video beast. You can do everything. You can do 4K, you can do slow motion 1080p up to 120 frames per second, which I really like for shooting like product shots and stuff. and get slow motion of just anything. It works fantastic. And to get that for that price and this small of a body, it's really awesome and really great. Another reason I think you should choose this over the A7 III is the battery life. You can get the same battery life as the A7 III basically because they're using the same batteries. In some scenarios, this camera actually might even do better because it's smaller and probably a little bit less going on as far as the menus and the buttons on this camera versus the A7 III. With this one having the larger Z-type battery, it's rated for like 2.3 times more battery life than the first generation or the small batteries out of the A6500 or out of here. Here's a small comparison in size. So this is the old battery and this is the new battery. Basically 2 times bigger. It's thicker and wider than this small battery. It's bigger in both dimensions. The second reason I think you should go with the A6600 over the A7S III is the size. You're getting a much smaller package using this. If say you're a vlogger, you want to use this, obviously now having a flip up screen, it's hard to not go wrong with that. This is excellent for vlogging. You can see yourself like this, you can see what you're doing, you can frame your shot. There's also a hot shoe mount on top that you can mount like a Video Mic Pro or a Video Micro on there or any kind of shotgun mic, but it's right in front of your screen, and you can buy adapters that slide in the hot shoe and bring the mount over to the right or the left, however you want to do it, if you want to scoot it over some. But I would recommend going towards the dial side because it's getting all the way out of your screen view. That way your shotgun mount will mount like on the edge, and that's a great addition to having a vlog setup because then you got your full screen back. You can frame what you're doing. You can see if your image is too bright, too dark. If you're kind of in different filming areas, inside or outside, you can correct that. You can't do that with A7 III, which is just like this. That's all you get. And if I'm vlogging with this camera, I have no idea what it's capturing. I don't know if it's overexposed. I don't know what's going on up there. And you can see that on the A6600. The third reason I want to talk about is the autofocus. It's going to be better in the A6600. It's got autofocus tracking or eye tracking autofocus in video mode, even in 4K. And even if you hook up to an external monitor, you still get your eye autofocus, and that is fabulous. This is the first camera, especially in the crop sensor lineup, that allows you to do that. It's pretty much the best autofocus you can find. And Canon has great autofocus and probably some of the best. But having eye autofocus in video, it's going to be hard to beat that. And other companies might be able to match it, but not be able to make anything better. This is probably the best autofocus system that is out right now. So those are 3 things that I think you really have the advantage of getting a 6600 crop sensor versus a full frame equivalent to A7 III. You get a lot more for a whole lot less of a price, and that's not even mention the lenses. Lenses are way cheaper for crop sensor than they are for the full frame bodies. I have the 10 to 18 millimeter for the crop sensor. It's only an f4, but it's around $700 to $800 new. And to get the equivalent of something like that on the full frame, you're looking at least $1,000 for the Zeiss model. And then if you get up to the G Master, you're looking at $2,400 to get that kind of a wide angle lens for the full frame. That's over $1,000 difference going for the larger of the two. And it's just crazy. You'll end up having $6,000 in a vlog setup. It's just crazy. To where you could have the same setup for what, maybe $2,000 to having the crop sensor. And depending on what kind of lighting situations you're working in, you can get really kind of the same results. If you buy the 16 millimeter Sigma lens for the crop sensor, you're going to get fantastic results that pretty much rival and are equivalent to the full frame models. So if you're on the edge of getting the 6600 versus the A7 III, if you have the money, the A7 III is a fantastic camera, I would only assume, and will match this camera other than the flip-up screen, more than likely, and the eye track and autofocus. But if you're looking to save some money and still want a lot of video features and a camera that's basically built for video in a small form factor, this is the way to go, I promise you. Got your battery life now, which is one of the main issues I had with the 6500. And you really can't go wrong with getting this. If you got the money, get the bigger one if you don't mind not having a flip-up screen. If you're kind of watching your money or you're tighter than a lot of people and want to buy something that's the best bang for your buck, get the 6600. That's what I did. I hope you learned something from this video, and if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. The link to this camera will be down in the description box. And I hope everybody has a great day. Hope you make the right camera choice. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all guys next video. Later.